We are back in the studio chatting with Grandpa, picking up where we left off yesterday, which was you home from Germany, you're in Indiana, bought a car,
Yep.
heading out into the sunrise.
Right.
And it's snowing like crazy.
Yeah.
I can picture that in my mind. That's been one of my favorite things that we've talked about. I can just kind of picture you driving home towards your new life, a new chapter. So let's talk about what it was like at home those first few married months after you were back.
She got pregnant.
Right away?
Must have been. No, we got home. Found a job real quick for Shell Oil Company, geophysical crew. You work 4/10s, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. The oil company on a geophysical crew out there searching for oil stuff like they do, they move around a lot. So I did that for probably mostly a year, and then they took off for up north someplace, and I could have went, but I didn't want to go, so I stayed there. During that period of time, at the end of '57, Sharon was born. You know Sharon?
I do.
Okay, there you go. That's good. She was born naturally in '58, December '58. Dean was born, and your mother made me miss a Christmas party where I was working, so I still talk to her about that. I worked for a welding supply company for about 3 years, I think it was. I don't know why I left the welding supply company. After the welding supply company, I guess I went to work for the industrial laundry. It was dust mops, uniforms, shop towels. I was there about 6 years, and during the last couple of years, I drove back and forth over here. We had a small place here, but we had to come over and pick up the dirty laundry, take it to Bakersfield Laundry, then bring it back over here again. So I did that 2 nights, Tuesday and Thursday, if I remember right. That was a real good job and real good money for back in those days also. Somewhere in there, I don't know, then Janelle was born in December of '59. So December. Don't ask me what that's about. I have no idea. And then we skipped 60, December of '60. So her flow chart must have been off or something. I don't know.
I think it's Valentine's Day.
Maybe that was it. Yeah, so she skipped that. And then Lene was born in April of '61. As everybody knows, the climate in the valley now is really bad. It wasn't so bad there except for allergies and everything back in those days. Margaret had sinus headaches all the time. It could rain and I had hay fever over there all the time. Dean and Sharon started getting asthma. During that period of time, we had bought a house out there in the southern part of town. But anyway, Dean and Sharon got asthma, and we had them in the hospital, in the room, same time, under oxygen tents. So working back and forth over here, I told Margaret, I said, we're going to move to the coast. She was agreeable to that, didn't bother her. And I've rented a house over here. And it was, climate-wise, it was a good change. Margaret lost all of her sinus. I lost all the hay fever. And Sharon and Dean have, I think, very little asthma problems right now as far as that goes. And the climate's a lot worse over there now, so I'm glad we're not there. I was still working for the laundry when we came over here, and for a while, and they wanted to do something else. I don't know. I think they wanted to move down to Ventura. I don't know what they wanted. I can't remember. So I said no. I left them. I went to work for Bell Brand Potato Chips for a while.
This is over here?
Over here.
Okay, so wait, hang on. Let's go back. Let's finish up Bakersfield. So when you first came back, did you guys rent an apartment, or did you live with her mom, or what did you do right as you first got back?
I think we were with her mom for just a little while. Then we went out and rented a small apartment, and then got into a bigger house. We must have bought that house 60, 61, somewhere in there. A brand new track.
In Bakersfield?
They built 3-bedroom, 2 full baths, nice kitchen, nice front yard, nice backyard, but brand new house on an empty lot, period. No fence, no nothing. Of course, the driveway was in, the streets were in. And that house was $12,500.
$12,500 for
Four
a
hundred
brand.
dollars down too, if you want to know.
What was your house payment? Do you remember?
$101.
Talk about your daily routine as a married couple in those first months after you came home. What was that like?
We had to find the apartment. We did that. We had to get a little furniture, but the apartment was small, so we ended up finding a bigger house. Is what we did. It was East Bakersfield up there.
What did you guys do for fun together
I
at
don't
that
know.
point?
We just did our thing, I guess. Whatever.
Did you go out, go to the movies?
Oh yeah, and there was Doris and Bruno, you know. So we'd go over to their place, and then there was Mary and Leo. So we'd go out to, you know, they were Old River is where they were because he farmed in Old River. So we'd go out and see them. We'd go see her mother, you know, stuff like that. But no, just I don't know.
Was Grandma a good cook at that point?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I think Frances taught her how to cook. Yeah, she was a good cook.
So did she still make you cheesecake since she had?
That. No, after she got married, that kind of, you know, just kind of went away.
She lost her cheesecake making skills. Was my mom planned or a surprise? Like, did you guys say, okay, I think we're gonna start our family now, or she just one day told you good news?
No, Margaret just popped them out on you. It was just no.
Were you ready to be a dad at that point when she told you that Sharon was on her way?
I don't know how young people react. Maybe it's overreaction to some people. We just went along with it.
So it wasn't anything that was.
No, she had Sharon and she had Dean. Dean was born, and I told Margaret, we have to talk about this. I did remember that very, very clear. Well, the time you got through talking to Margaret, she's pregnant again. So then Janelle comes along, and I said, Margaret, we have to talk about this. Well, it didn't work. You got pregnant, you know, and then Lene comes along. So I told her, Margaret, we're not talking about this anymore. So no, you had, but you know, you got to remember back in those days, everybody had kids, 3, 4, 5 kids. You know, our friend that lived up the street had 4 girls. You know, so you just the people at the laundry had 2 and 3 kids. You just, I don't know.
Were you hoping for a boy before my mom was born, or did it matter to you? Do you remember thinking one way or another?
No, it didn't matter. I knew eventually I would pay living with all those women, though.
And you did. Did parents find out the sex of the baby back then? Was that an option to go and figure out if you were having a boy or a girl?
If it was, I don't remember it, no.
So you were just surprised?
Uh-huh.
As you were preparing yourself to be a dad, what aspects of the way that you were raised and parented did you decide to adopt for your own family? So what things did your parents do, or the way your house was, that you thought, you know what, I really want to, this was great, I really want to incorporate this into the way that I parent or the way that we structure our house?
I probably living with Dorothy and all that stuff, and Margaret living with her mother. They're pretty, you know, you're pretty close knitted in there as far as that goes. And I think that followed through as far as, you know, being with the family instead of, you know, wandering off and doing your own thing and stuff. Did our thing on the weekends and, you know, come home in the evening and get the kids ready for bed and all that. So I think we were a close-knit group, you know, as far as that goes. And compared to some families today, that you might see the kid Sunday and maybe next Saturday, you know. I'm not saying it's bad or good, but, you know, because of the lifestyle and the way people work and all the things that's going on now. But we were, all the time we were together. And the good thing about back in those days, you didn't have car seats. You could throw them in the back of the car with the dog, you know, and run around.
No seatbelts?
No seatbelts.
Was there anything about the way that you were raised or your own childhood that, as you were thinking about being a parent and structuring your life with Grandma and your family, that you thought, I'm not incorporating that, I want to do that differently than the way that I was raised?
I would think with drinking in the family, I didn't want to get into that, you know, except when Margaret and I go out partying with the laundry people or something like that, you know. So I want to get rid of drinking altogether in those early days, which I had a beer working in the yard and stuff like that. And we would have beer with friends when we went to barbecue and stuff. So I thought trying to keep your act clean was important back in those days, which drugs were not a problem anyway. So all you had mainly was tobacco and alcohol. But Margaret and I both smoked, so whatever.
Were you at the hospital when your first child was born?
Yeah,
Well,
I missed the Christmas party.
so, but you actually, were you able to be in the room?
Yes,
You were.
yes.
Oh,
Matter of fact, I ate her dinner.
grandma's dinner. You remember the first time you held your first child? What was going through your mind, aside from the fact that it cost you the Christmas party?
Everybody thinks babies, are pretty and stuff, and all babies are ugly. Most all of them come out ugly, So, but I didn't tell Margaret that.
I would hope
I
not.
said, "Oh, that's really cute. Yeah, fine. It's shriveled up and stuff."
So no problem for you adjusting to being a dad. It was a great
Nope,
thing, happy
nope,
thing.
Nope, it was a fun thing. We did our thing. When I came home from work, I helped, stuff like that. It was not a big deal.
So just kind of think back to that period and give me your, like, what do you remember about that time having 4 young kids? Was it crazy? That, think about all of them being young, running around the house, toddlers.
We actually sometimes we had 6 and 7 kids.
Why did you have more kids?
Across the street, she wanted to go to work, and I think they had 2 kids, if I remember right. And so they said, "Margaret, would you take care of my 2 kids while I go to work?" I think she worked part-time is what she did. Margaret said, "Yeah." So I'd come home, yeah, there's 6 kids there. But they all blended in. No, it wasn't a problem, no.
Was it crazy?
As crazy as anybody's got 4 kids, I guess, But the kids were not, they did beat up on Dean quite a bit,
The girls?
Yeah, they complained. He complained about that, but no, they did their normal, I think, children stuff as far as that goes. They were well behaved, but that was Margaret's parenting during the daytime, I'm sure. As far as that goes.
Were those happy times? So when you think back to that period, or you look at photographs from that period, were those good times for you? Good times for the family?
Yeah, because I had a job, had a house, had 2 or 3 cars. No big deal.
Tell me about a typical weekend when the kids were young. What'd you guys do on the weekend?
I can't remember we belonged to some type of insurance organization that really did a lot of family things, barbecues and stuff like that during the whole year, Christmas parties. And also another friend belonged to the Elks Club who did things like that. And we had a friend I worked with right up the street that had 4 girls. And then the laundry people, when I worked for them, had a lot of kids. So we did a lot of weekend activities with group activities, what I'm saying, barbecues, Christmas parties, all kinds of different things like that. So the kids, they stayed pretty busy on the weekend. Not any functions really during the week. Everybody's too busy, doing their thing for that. But I don't know if they still do that stuff, but there was a lot of organized activities back in those days. And the kids seemed to enjoy going to them.
Did you guys go to church as a family when the kids were young?
Yeah, because they were all baptized Catholic. And then I think they were all baptized in Bakersfield. I don't think they were baptized over here. I can't remember.
So were you guys in every Sunday to church, family?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And you went during that time?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Who was more strict with the kids, you or Grandma?
I think she was probably being with them, every day because she didn't work. I think she was, she was more strict with them.
Did she rely on you to be the disciplinarian?
No, not necessarily. I just come home in the evening, the afternoon, and just ask her if I need to kill anybody. So that was about it.
Did you guys pretty much agree on how to parent? Did you guys have sometimes parents have different philosophies about what kind of family life, to structure or how to discipline, or did you and Grandma pretty much see eye to eye as you were raising the kids on?
I think so. Yeah, I don't think there was any conflict there at all.
Did you have a favorite at this point when the kids were little?
I don't really think so. Not really. I don't think Margaret did either.
Did she work at all during this time when the kids were young?
No, she never worked until the kids left over here, and she tried it later on.
Where did you guys go on family vacations, and how often did you do that?
Oh, I don't know. We came over here a few times, Carpinteria. We'd rent a little small travel trailer and bring them over here, bum around Carpinteria.
Did you do Disneyland?
Was there Disneyland then?
Yeah,
When did Disneyland come along?
50 something, right? 50.
I don't know. No, we never considered going to Disneyland.
Did you find as a man that it was difficult to provide for your family at this time? Was it something where there was a lot of stress on you? Did you often think, geez, I wish Margaret would go to work?
No, because probably in the industrial laundry that I worked at, and even the refinery, and I can't remember if there was another one, but probably I made a little bit more than average wages back then. The laundry was union, and so you got a base salary, commission on what you delivered out during the day, commission on what you sold. So I think at one time on one route I was clearing a couple $100 a week, and back then that wasn't bad money at all. And then I went on to a different job, supervision, which dropped down salary then. But no, money wasn't actually a problem. Cars, I didn't buy new cars, but we had 2 cars, and they were inexpensive. I can't remember the price of them, but they didn't cost a lot of money. And payments on the cars weren't that big a deal. So you've got a $101 house payment.
So that's interesting, because I think the assumption is that everything goes up relative, right? So
Right.
everything's relative. So
Right.
if you were making a couple $100 a week, and in your first check you could pay your house payment, your 2 car payments, and have a little money left over, I don't know anyone that can do that now. Anyone whose wages today allows them to make their house payment and 2 car payments and have a little money left over out of their first check every month.
It's not really. It's really not. It's just there's no way you can compare then to now. There's no way. There's some people now that are only clearing $200 a week.
Yeah.
I mean, in some of the fast food places they're working 40 hours. What are you going to do with $200 a week now?
Yeah, I don't know. Did grandma ever have career aspirations? Was it something that she said, geez, I am really sick of staying home with these kids. I really would like to go out and
I don't think so.
whatever?
She never expressed anything like that.
Do you think you would have supported that if that was something that she wanted to do?
Yeah, if we could have done it, yeah. But she never did. She's never interested in that. She took care of like those kids across the street, and she took care of some kids over here later on, just for a few extra bucks. But no, it wasn't any pressure on her to do that. So.
Do you miss those days of early family life?
I don't know. It's a fun thing when you're doing it, because hell, you're 20-something years old. You can do anything,
Yeah.
And it's a fun group when you've got a good family. But I wouldn't want to marry a woman now that's got younger kids. I mean, even if I was 65 or something like that. But it does. It requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of cooperation between the parents and the children, There's a lot of stuff that goes on there.
So you moved here in '67. How did the kids feel, and how did Grandma feel when you announced, we're out of here, we're moving?
So I'm putting the house up for sale. What do you think? She said, okay. Kids were young. They didn't have any thought on it, It was no big deal. And we sold it.
And then you came over here, did you rent a house, or you came over and bought something immediately?
Over in Valley Gardens.
Oh, you bought something right away?
No, rented.
Oh, you rented?
Yeah.
Then you bought one on Turquoise?
We rented one over there on Pearl. And at the time, when we came over here in '67, Vandenberg had a big shutdown, Vandenberg Air Force Base. Big layoff. There were all kinds of houses around here, repos, and there was a lot of them around. And then over there in that Valley Gardens track, the contractor that built it, he did a real nice job on them, except they were small. And we were walking around in there, and some of those houses are 4 bedrooms, but small kitchen and a small living room and 4 bedrooms. So we went down to the local realtor who had the deal on it, and we bought that house. And that was, I think, $15,500 for that house.
Did you make money on the house you sold in Bakersfield?
Yeah, it's about $3,000, I think.
So you bought the house on
Turquoise.
Turquoise.
Right.
How long did you live there?
About 18 months. And Margaret and I had agreed that was a little house. Nice track, no problem with that, but a little house. I said, okay, so I'll call the realtor. So we went to Sycamore. She took us over there. We said, yeah, that's fine. Okay, we'll buy that. So she sold Turquoise for about $18,500 and used all that money for down payment on Sycamore, which was $25,000, and my payments jumped up to $268.
Was that stressful? Do you remember thinking like, geez, this is a lot of money?
You know, I thought maybe at the time it was, but then Prop 13 came along and it dropped to, I don't know, $180 or some damn thing.
Because it lowered your property taxes?
Yeah, and everything. So it dropped there. So that was a good thing there. But Sycamore, a doctor owned it. Those houses were built in '64, and this was 1970. And I don't know if he was the original owner or not, but he didn't do zip, nothing. No yard, no fence. The house wasn't thrashed, but you know, he didn't do that much in there. Lousy carpet from being new.
Wasn't the carpet red?
Yeah, red carpet. I'm thinking if the kitchen floor was black and white tiles, the big squares like that sheet of paper there,
Yeah.
if I remember right. So we took that out and did that. But and the left fence was 4x8 sheets of plywood.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so talk about your jobs over here through the years. Where did you work?
Came over with the industrial laundry. There's somewhere in there I went to work for the City of San Luis Obispo Fire Department, full-time fireman. I was there 3 years, and during that period of time, I went to Quest on the GI Bill because you had plenty of time. You're on 24 and off 24, so you got all kinds of time. We did that.
Did you graduate from Cuesta?
Oh yeah, that's why I'm so smart.
You have AA?
Uh-huh.
In what? Just
Fire science and psychology.
fire science and psychology.
Huh? You can't tell?
There's so many things through this process that I have learned about you that I didn't know.
Yeah, the GI Bill was there, so fire department didn't pay a big salary, but the GI Bill kicked in. That was no problem. That's another time. Stayed there 3 years and decided to get out of that because fire department and law enforcement are really high divorce rates. Margaret and I didn't have that problem, but you miss a lot, you know, when you're on 24 and off 24. You wouldn't think you would, but you do actually miss a lot. So I said, I'm going to bail out of here. Went to work for Carnation Dairy.
What exactly is it that you're doing at that point?
You're a route salesman. You're delivering to all the stores.
So trying to find new accounts, or you're just taking stuff into
Both.
both?
You're delivering your stores, straighten up your rack, taking the stales off, putting the fresh up, and as you go through the period of a day, you stop and talk to other people, see if you can get new accounts. Good job, no problem there. The money was pretty good. And Carnation Dairy is, I don't recommend that to anybody. Milk is short codes, you know, and stuff like that, and it's just a tough job. So I decided to vacate there. At the fire department is when we started the janitorial business. We did all our homework at the fire department because at 5 o'clock at night you're on your own time. Saturday and Sunday you're on your own time. So we did all of our homework at the fire department. So I'd finished that. I'm still at the fire department and decided that I needed something to do. And everybody in the fire department has a side business because of the hours they're off. And so I decided on a janitorial business. Why, I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Except I was out talking to some people. The first one was a realtor that I dealt with. I went and told her, you know, that I needed to do something. I was going to start some kind of business. She said, here's the keys to the office. You can clean my office. I said, okay. So I went to talk to another realtor I knew, and he did the same thing. He gave me the keys to the office. I said, okay. So it just snowballed from there. So we did that and kept that all the time, then left the fire department, went to these other places, and still kept the janitorial business, working all the time. And then I think when I left Carnation, I think I went into janitorial full time because during that period of time, all the new construction started around here in the 70s and the 80s, just nuts. And we got in with 3 or 4 contractors, and we did all kinds of new construction cleanup. If you'll talk to kids, they'll still come bitch about it today. But the business was really, really busy. We were making really good money and having a good time, going on vacations and stuff. Probably did that for a year and a half. You're paying your own medical insurance, which was cheap back then, no problem. And you don't have a lot of money left over for investments. And I said, this might not be the good route to go. So I put in applications for the county, and I don't know where I was on the list, but eventually they called me in '73. in September of '73, and they gave me a job on the maintenance crew, and then I went to the parks and all that stuff. But at that time, I thought that was a better route to go.
So you'd have retirement.
You have everything, retirement, insurance, all that kind of stuff. I went home and told Margaret that I got a job for the county at $612 a month. She just looked at me and said, "You make $600 a week." And I did, back in those days in janitorial. I said, "I know it'll work out fine, and it did work out, over a period of years, cost of living raises come along, promotions come along, and all that stuff. So it all worked out eventually, and I think that's something important that younger people really, really need to give a close evaluation to now about when you get older.
Benefits and retirement.
Benefits
all of
and
those
retirement
things.
and everything, because you wake up one morning and you don't want to go to work.
Yes, I know. Did it ever bother you to be a janitor?
Nope.
Never?
Nope. Dean and I still talk about that today. We janitorial is a funny thing, People now, I'm not talking about huge companies that's got employees running around doing their thing for $10, $12 an hour, But janitorial companies on an average right now charge $50, $75 an hour for an office that they're cleaning and everything. You're really doing really good out there, but the fringe isn't there is what the deal is. But a lot of people will be in there cleaning an office, and people be in there talking in the office and stuff. And we were friends with all of them because we were there a long time. And they'd be in there talking business and stuff, And one guy would say to the other guy, said, "We don't want to talk business around the janitor." And the other guy would say, "The janitor's a dumb shit. Don't worry about it, So, but janitorial, it's probably not for everybody, But a guy would see you cleaning the toilet bowl, and say, "Man, that's a lousy profession." I say, "Yeah, $50 an hour, it is pretty bad." Every week you had 26 offices, but some of them we went in on the weekend and like Wednesday.
Oh.
Some of them, but they were very limited. I didn't like doing that during the week. We would go out during the week and do offices, but most of the time being home from the county, it was early, so it wasn't a problem. We didn't stay out late. We were back home by 7:30, 8 o'clock.
So Grandma didn't work during this time. She was home.
No, hell no. She was out doing stuff too.
I mean, she worked with you, but she didn't have a job or
No.
whatever during that time.
No.
What was it like as your kids got to be teenagers for you?
When we started janitorial business, I think the first night out I had 2 or 3 offices. I think it was Sharon and Dean that got in the car. Margaret says, "They're going with you?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "How long you think that'll last?" It lasted all the way till they left home. But so.
Did you make people go, or they
Nope,
just wanted to?
Nope. They went. Whoever went piled in the car during the week. Everybody went on the weekend. We all did new construction whenever it came in. It's Dean was doing windows, and I'd be doing windows, and the girls would be vacuuming and stuff, and I'd be doing the bathrooms, getting everything cleaned up. It was just like a little covey of quails in there working. They never complained about it. They had clothes. They had a car. I bought the girls a couple of those buzzard puke Pintos, color. I bought Dean a pickup, so they didn't ask for. They went out on the weekend. I'd give them money, but they never asked for money. So they were just a cooperative group.
So no problems with any of the kids when they were teenagers? You had 4 angels?
I ain't saying that. If you remember right, your mother, got pregnant with you. So, and then that wasn't a problem. Chuck came in and said that they were going to move in with Vince and Marie in Shell Beach. I said, "Yeah, when you get a job, you will." So he still holds that over me.
But no, those were also good years, peaceful years with the kids being teenagers?
There was no problem at high school. I'm sure there were drugs back in there that day, but there was no problem there. The girls never did drugs. Dean said that he never got into marijuana until he went in the Air Force because it was plentiful. That's when he started smoking marijuana and drinking like everybody does in the service. But no, not really. They did their thing, and we kind of hung out and went on vacations. Wasn't a big deal.
Do you think you and Grandma were good parents?
I don't know. Check with the kids.
Well, no, I mean, if you look back and you kind of assess things, I mean, would you classify yourself as
We
good
must have
parents?
been good parents because there was really no fighting or anything like that going on, or arguing, or drugs, or alcohol, or there was none of that stuff going on. So we must have been pretty cooperative in some phases of the relationship.
What year did you guys become empty nesters?
78, I don't know, somewhere in there, 79 probably.
Do you remember being excited to have your house clear out and it was just you and Grandma again?
When they all move out, it's kind of quiet, and you have that emptiness syndrome. You wander around the house looking, and then after a period of time, you don't wander anymore. You just close the door and say that's a good deal. But yeah, we're pretty. They moved out early in our time compared to a lot of parents. So it was just us.
So was it rough for you when the kids left?
No, nope. The janitorial business, I kind of geared it down. Not so many offices and everything. Margaret would go out with me and do some of the offices on the weekend, but I was still really busy. I wasn't retired from the county, and I still had janitorial, so I was busy as heck. So there's no problem there.
You were waiting to train the next generation of cleaning assistants.
Yeah, right.
Did you have a midlife crisis? Do you want to talk about the motorcycle and the perm?
The motorcycle?
And the perm? Didn't you get a perm?
Oh yeah, I got a permanent. Yeah.
So after your kids moved out, you made your hair curly and you bought a motorcycle.
Yes, I did buy a motorcycle. I cleaned up a house, smoke damage, $1,800, whatever it was, and told Margaret, I said, I'm gonna go down there to Santa Maria to buy a motorcycle. It was a 400 Honda automatic motorcycle, and we cruised around on it for a while, helmets and all that stuff, jackets and all that stuff, but it was too slow on the freeway. So we kept it for a while and dumped that one, and I bought a bigger one later on. But yeah, permanent was fine, except my hair is really fine, and it wouldn't hold it forever, so I had to get out of that after a while.
How long were you biking around?
Quite a while. I had a custom seat built for the 650 Yamaha down in Santa Barbara, and we cruised Santa Barbara. We went up to the Grapevine and down the Grapevine, cruised around there, Bakersfield, went over there a couple of times to, I think it was, maybe it was Mary and Leo's house, and up and down the coast and everything. It's a different experience. And then after a while, it started sitting in the garage. I don't know why. We didn't get on it that much, so I sold that one.
So 38 years old, you become a grandfather.
Yep.
What were your thoughts about that?
Complained to everybody I seen.
Did you feel old enough or ready to be a grandpa?
Everybody thought it was funny. You're 38 years old and you're grandpa.
What are your thoughts about early life when all of the grandkids started to be born? Everybody's at your house all the time.
It was enjoyable until you moved in next door.
We won't talk about that. That's a different segment. And then in 1997, you became a great-grandfather.
I did?
You did.
I'll be darned.
Any thoughts from the first time you heard that was occurring in your life?
No, I just told Margaret I think everybody fails sex education as far as that goes.
In your family?
Yeah, in the family.
Should have studied that a little harder.
That's right.
How old were you when you became a great-grandpa? 1997?
Yeah. So I was 61.
I mean, that's really pretty amazing. We've talked about that on camera, off camera during this project, that you got to meet all of your great-grandkids and grow up around, they grew up around you.
Yeah.
I mean, 60 is about the time a lot of people become grandparents. So
Right.
When did you retire from the county?
98.
What did you do with your time after you retired?
Worked full-time in janitorial. I was busier than heck.
So it wasn't on commercials they sort of show it like, oh, great, you've retired and now you're going to spend your days woodworking and watching the sunset?
I worked on the house and did a lot of stuff like that, but no, the airport called because that was the landscaping at the airport was mine, part of my route or my area, and they called and they needed they wanted some help out there doing landscaping and stuff. It was only 3 or 4 hours in the morning, and I only worked, I think, 2 days to get them until they got some more people on and stuff like that. But I was out there, I don't know, 5, 6 years working for them. And then go home and then do janitorial, or work around the house or whatever. And then Margaret and I would, we would fly to Tahoe, we would fly to Las Vegas on those overnighters sometimes, and we would drive sometimes for 3 days and 2 nights. And we did that for quite a while until the casino came along, Shumash. And then when she started going down there, she kind of liked the fact that you could go down in one day, do your thing and come back home again. And so we kind of backed off on Vegas and Tahoe and just go to Shumash once in a while, and didn't really take a lot of extended vacations. There wasn't any reason to, I guess. I don't know.
When was the last time you traveled anywhere, like with Grandma?
We didn't. No, we went to Bakersfield for different things, weddings and funerals and things like that, but that was about it. We just, I think we got too lazy to drive to Vegas and Tahoe or Oregon or wherever you wanted to go. I think you just get lazy.
So there's comments about you and our family that you're a workaholic. You think that's a true assessment of you?
No, I'm a controlled workaholic. Some people aren't.
So are you controlling it now?
No. In other words, maybe you're in a profession where you can't shut it down. You got to remember, in the government, I can shut my part down anytime I want to, like the rest of the guys. I can take off 3 days vacation, 4 days sick leave, whatever you want to do, it's all there. And so in janitorial, you just shut it down. If people call in for services, you say, no, I'm not available for a couple of weeks. Some people will wait and some won't. But some people see the dollar out there. They got to pursue the dollar. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of professions you can't do, maybe you just can't walk away from, or you don't want to walk away from. So no, and I don't work that much now. As if you'll check with your father, he'll verify that.
Everybody seems to look forward to the retirement years when they're younger. Is it as fabulous as it sounds?
Only if you have money. If you retire with a very limited income, you pay. Let's say you pay off your home. Well, boy, I ain't got no more house payments. I'm going to have a lot of money. That's bull. You still got everything going on with your house: maintenance, insurance, taxes, the whole thing. Maybe you've got a gardener. I don't know. You have to hire to paint the house because you don't want to do it or you can't do it. Nothing stops because you're retired. Medical insurance still goes on. Supplement medical plan goes on. Car insurance goes on if they're paid off. So all that stuff goes on. So you're not going to go out and step out in today's world right now today and retire on $1,500 a month. It ain't going to happen unless you live with your kids or something in the studio. It's just not going to happen. Me being single right now by myself, my medical insurance is 2, 3 medical, dental, eyeglasses, runs about $450 a month, just for me. That's just for me. Margaret would still be here, it'd be $700 or $800. So you've got that right there. Car insurance, is up there. And if I was still at Sycamore, house taxes, home insurance, all that stuff, earthquake insurance in there, maintenance on it, So the money's out there. So if you're going to retire, if you're sitting here at 30 years old right now, 35 years old, and you want to check out at 55, you better plan on having some money. It ain't going to work. It's just not going to work unless you can go live in the kid's studio, and a lot of people do that. The kids have a real nice studio, a grandmother house out there in the back. I would say right now, safely speaking, that if you were going to retire in 35, 45, it may be in 15 or 20 years, and I'm probably being maybe optimistic, but I'll bet you should have a minimum income of $5,000-$6,000 a month.
In order to be able to make it?
In order to be able to make it.
So is retirement stressful for you?
No, not for me. It would be for people on a very limited income, yeah. If you've got X number of pennies to spend this month and no pennies to go over to the casino and spend, yeah, it'd be stressful on you, yeah.
Anything that you thought to yourself as you were getting ready to retire, oh, this is great. I've always wanted to learn how to, whatever, paint, sculpt, make furniture, any of those things that you have done hobby-wise that you...
I used to make clocks. You ever got a clock from me?
Couple.
I had clocks everywhere. But I finally gave it up after a while. What happened is the clock kits got more and more expensive, so they went up. And when I was doing it, it was really cheap, but to make clocks. So I went through that phase. No, outside of that, I didn't really get into anything else.
So do you feel 80 years old?
No, not particularly. I'll let you know in a couple of months when his knee gets better.
Yeah. So if you just on your so go back before your knee was bothering you, on just an average day. Don't talk about what you look like in the mirror, but how old do you feel?
I've never went there on age. And I never paid any attention to that. Maybe till, I don't know, maybe 70. And I started slowing down a little bit. Still working though, still doing my thing. I don't have a problem coming out here every day because it's light janitorial. There's no big thing there. I probably couldn't dig a ditch tomorrow if I had to put in a new sewer line or anything like that. But I still mow, I did your yard till you fired me, thank you. And then I mow the backyard at Lene's. And I was mowing sycamore up until we got rid of the house, and it with no problem. I do not have any breathing problems or anything like that. You don't work as fast as you used to, but you charge more money to compensate for that. So, no, I don't pay attention to 80. I sleep good, I eat good, drink a little alcohol, smoke a few cigars. Doctor says, at your age, who cares, And the health has been good all through the years for Margaret and me. Margaret had 2 hernias over the years, a vasectomy, which Dean said that was vasectomy.
Well, Margaret didn't have that.
Yeah, she did. That's what, when the phone rang one time.
Hysterectomy.
No, he said vasectomy.
Oh, he said vasectomy.
Phone rang.
That's something that we don't want to cover in our family show.
No,
if that's what Grandma.
It was funny. It was funny. The phone rang. He answers the phone. I'm going to talk to your mother. Dean says she's in the hospital. What's wrong with her? She's having a vasectomy. True story. So anyway, so our health was good all those years. All those years.
Did it go by fast? Do you sit around sometimes thinking, I cannot believe how fast my life has gone?
It does go by fast. You don't pay attention to it when you're younger, and then all of a sudden you're 30, so you don't pay attention to it. Then you're 40. I remember my 50th birthday party at Sycamore. I do remember that. I don't know, 50, you're still real active and healthy and all that stuff. And the next thing you know, you're 62 and you're walking out of the county. What the hell happened to 62 to 80? I don't know what happened to those years, But when you think back, yeah, it really goes quick. And when you're doing it, maybe not so much, So I don't know what the answer is to that. But
well, tomorrow we're going to talk more about this phase of your life. Single, retired, and get your
girlfriends. We're going to talk about
Sure. So this is great. Thanks for today.
You're going to cut this off tomorrow?
Well, I think we will have talked about everything that there is to talk about by then. So yes, we will. We'll be done tomorrow.
You want to know any secrets tomorrow or anything?
I ask you all the time leading questions so you can tell me your secrets. Yes, I will ask that. So be prepared to talk about your secrets tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
All right. See you tomorrow.